no, it's fine. Right, hello, and thanks for joining us on ShrimpNet, the podcast of the Shrimps Trust. This is podcast number, I've forgotten already, Joel. What we're on, 5, 6?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. I lose track. Yeah, 5th. Apologies for no podcast last week. It's, as I mentioned on my tweet, I am a complete and utter Luddite with these things. And Joel does all the technical wizardry. And Joel was having his wallet rinsed in Temple Bar in Dublin, weren't you, Joel?
Correct. Very enjoyable, but yeah, a little bit costly.
Yes, very much. But he's back in one piece, you'll be glad to know. And as you can see, if you're watching, but if you're listening, you can't. We did miss last week, but we didn't collect, we didn't collect our £200 or past go. So from that point of view, we are delighted that despite appearing last season, Farrend Rawson has lowered his standards and he's quite happy to be with us again. So welcome, Big Faz.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
It's brilliant to have you here. And as I mentioned in my preamble before we started recording, it is great to have you here because we didn't do one last week, so we have to talk about Harrogate. And
brilliant. Can't wait.
and obviously we can get your take on a couple of those incidents. And I know what I think, and I know what Joel thinks, I'm pretty sure. But we'll start with the Harrogate game, Joel. After the 3-0 drubbing of Bradford, to go across there, Harrogate obviously lost to Barrow last Saturday 1-0. We were hoping for something better than we got, but it sort of hinged on a couple of decisions, didn't it?
Yeah, it did in the end. I thought it started off quite evenly, the game. I thought I didn't think they looked as bad as maybe some of the results might have suggested. I thought they looked a decent side. They were quite physical and quite direct. But I'm trying to desperately recall his name. But the winger, number 12, I thought he was having a pretty good game. But and they were causing a bit of trouble. But again, we've caused them a bit of trouble. We've had, I thought Tom Bloxham was having a really good game down the right hand side.
Yeah.
I think he had a low cross in that very, very, very nearly got turned in by JJ McKiernan. So, it was relatively even, but we were making a few headways, and I thought they made a few headways as well. And obviously, I think their first real decent moment in the match was when they get into the box, and obviously Thompson's turn to have that shot. Stuart Moore's parried it, and it's gone to the number 12, whose name just pull it Fullerin, yeah. Fullerin, yeah. It's gone to him, and obviously the ref's decided he's seen a handball in there, and I think who
would do something stupid like a handball? Faz.
I know, yeah, but I think after that it felt like obviously they've taken the lead, and it felt like they were kind of on the ascendancy after that. They took a lot of momentum from the goal, and I think the rest of the half was a bit of a grind until half time. But I thought the way we came out in the second half was okay, to be honest. And I think, it's kind of started the same way that the first half started, really relatively even, both teams having a little bit of the odd moment here and there. And then again, there's another decision that goes against us. And I think, even just a couple of minutes before, I think we get a ball into the box, Mellon turns and hits it, and it goes just wide. And
it was the flick on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the flick on, yeah. And if that goes in, it's a very different game. But obviously, a couple of minutes later, look, I kind of see when at speed, the ball, it's sometimes hard to judge handball. I kind of sympathise. I can sympathise a little with the ref in the first decision, but the second one, I sort of 50-50. I didn't see any reason why that deserved to be a yellow.
You're being nice because I'm here.
I had it in my head yesterday morning when I watched the game back.
No, honestly, Faz, I'd said it was 60-40, a free kick to us.
Do you know when it happened? Obviously, I don't want to go too much into it, obviously, because
we want you to.
But do you know when it happened? I've chest the ball down, gone to kick it. He's raised his foot and he's coming down with his foot. So then obviously, the ones where you kick the bottom of someone's foot. Yeah. And like say I do a clearance and he sticks his foot out, you kick the bottom of the foot and they fall over, you get a foul. So more or less that's happened. As you can see from his reaction, he's fine. He got up straight away.
Yeah,
I'm on the floor. No, I'm on the floor with my foot, and then it was actually Donald Love ran over and said, "Oh my God, Faz, I think he's sending you off." And that's when you can see me pop my head up. And uh, let's all be honest, refs have got a really difficult job. It's not easy. It isn't easy, especially at our level even more. I think at the top level where they get all the help in the world,
Yeah,
and
true.
they still make mistakes, and it's not easy, and it's a lot of pressure, I guess. But like I agree with you, like I don't think. I think if anything, if it's a coming together, it's 50-50. It's
But
I personally going to believe it's
he stood
more of
up.
a foul on me. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
saying more of
he
a foul on
stood
me.
up.
But
That's what I
the
could.
first one, I can 100% tell you it hit my side of my body 1,000,000%. I'm
Right.
at a position now where I don't if it hit my arm, I could tell you, but 1,000,000% it hit my body. I was more frustrated. Even Stu said I was more frustrated because I thought, bloody hell, it was a good block. I made a good block, and then he gave it. But again, I've got to take blame. I think the rules are changing. As a team, we have to, and as individuals, we have to learn about the new rules. Disagree or agree with them, they are the rules. You have to abide by them, and a little bit we just have to keep our emotions in a little bit and keep them under lock. It's hard, it's tough because football's an emotional sport. Do you know what I mean? But you have to keep our emotions in and not express it as much because obviously that's going to get us penalised now. If you know what I mean?
So,
Yeah,
so two yellow cards got you the first use of the shower gel, and we still had a situation where we still created chances. Then, Joel.
yeah. I mean, I think not. I think we talked a lot about. I think a lot of has been said about looking at the red card incident. I just don't think it's a second yellow, even if the ref thinks, yeah, the guy's nipped him first. You know, there's no intent from Faz. Obviously, he's trying to clear the ball, and it's not exactly like it's really late or anything. It's like I don't see how that should be a yellow at all, to be honest. But then I think what we kind of skip over in the red card discussion is he just wanged it straight in the top corner, and it's an unreal free.
Oh, it's a great goal.
Absolutely unreal. But like he's 30 yards out, and he's just done that straight off. Like, you know, it's one of those things where like get a man sent off, it's a setback, but you know what? Only a goal down. Keep it tight. Get a few set pieces. Get a few bit of joy in the break. Maybe ramp up. You know that they start to feel a bit under pressure. They're like, you know, we've got an extra man and we're struggling to hold on here, and they may become the cosh of beating. Who knows what's happening? But then for their guy for Thompson, I think it is to just step up and just smash it straight in the top corner like that from 30 yards. It's just like
it was a worldie. It was a worldie.
Absolute worldie. And yeah, from then on, it is kind of particularly hard to fight back. And when they've got that comfort of the 2-goal lead, but yeah, like you said, I thought we did a pretty good account of ourselves really in the last kind of what was it 25 minutes maybe, but yeah, just a difficult position, and it's a game where I think, you know, the two moments when it was looking relatively even, there's been a couple of decisions, and then not just decisions, just a real moment of quality from their lads to pop it in the top corner, and you know, and that's just how it goes sometimes. I think obviously it's drawn up a lot of concern about away form, and I do kind of get it because obviously look at last season, but at the same time, it's quite hard to judge this season because looking at the two games we've had, Mansfield was quite unique. I think we've tried. I thought they were brilliant, Mansfield, but we've tried something a bit different tactically there. It's not quite worked. We've gone to Harrogate, and the game swung in a couple of quite pivotal moments. And again, it's quite hard to pick a narrative in this season and compare it to whatever narrative there was last season for whatever reason the away form had last season, but. I think the positive to look at is that away performance at Rotherham in the Carabao Cup. That was really, really strong. So, you know, there is light in that kind of regard, and hopefully the Harrogate and the Mansfield games are things that do just turn out to be blips, slightly weird games where different things happen. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes throughout the course of the season, really.
And I think you make a fair point, and I'm going to come to Faz here now because obviously last season, yeah, we're fighting relegation in League One. We tried to play a certain way, maybe changed it towards the end of the season when we were a little bit more adventurous, when we needed the points. And there are people out there, and I'm just echoing what they're saying, is that, you know, it does take time to form a new side, doesn't it? You've got a lot of new players. There's yourself, Jacob, Donald Love, and Adam Mayer, and that's about it from the starting lineup at the moment. So you're looking at 7 people coming in, as well as all your substitutes, albeit that Jan Songo and Jordan Slew have been here before. But it is difficult to sort of, grasp the tactics. And obviously our front four are very, very, very young and not particularly experienced. And I think we've, as Joel mentioned there, Harrogate and Mansfield, quite gnarly and quite clever and quite experienced. And maybe that needs to be taken into account because, last season, yes, we write that off. This season's a separate one. We start again. And if in 10 more away games we're still not playing well, then yeah, we can attack it and say, well, is it Derek's tactics? Is it us not putting the tactics into place? Are we being too negative? Are we too positive? Whatever. But how big an impact do you think it is just trying to gel on away games when you only played 3 away games, Faz?
No, I think obviously in pre-season, majority of our games are away. I think the last 2 games were at home. That's normally how he does it.
Yeah.
No, it's obviously just it's a weird one. It's a completely different occasion away from home than it is at home. Obviously at home you have your comforts, you have your fans, you're comfortable, you know that you know the place, you know the pitch. If you're going away, it's all different experiences, different scenery, different pressures, fans, different sides of stadiums, different sizes of pitches in some ways. Obviously, you got remember last season Port Vale, the pitch was massive, and then you go to Forest Green, it's tiny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's all different experiences, but I think I agree with the away form. It's I don't think it's too early. I think if the Harrogate one, if you think about the game was decided off 2 decisions. If those 2 decisions don't happen or go in our favour, then the game finishes 0-0 at least.
Yeah.
The way the game panned out, their 2 chances they scored from them were decisions. It would finish 0-0, and then you'd look at it. You go to a tough place to go, Harrogate, with a young squad, like you said, with gelling and stuff, and you get a 0-0, and you'd be looking at it. Well, that's a positive. That's a better result than a loss. You'd say, but something to build on, something we can move on. We didn't lose away from home or whatever, another loss or whatever like that. You can go with something to build on, and it'd be a lot more. But I feel like obviously because of those decisions and rightly or wrongly, whatever happened, we lost the game. It's like, oh, it's another loss away from home. We need to sort this out. When actually, if you look at it, that could have easily been a 0-0 and could have easily been a 1-0 because if it's 0-0, 80, 85 minutes, we've got 11 players on the pitch. You never know what could happen. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't look too. It's too early to look into it, but I do think I seen you mention that we've got a young front 3, which obviously lacks experience. But I think, especially at this level, I think it's a good thing. I think they're not scared of anything. They're not nervous. They don't. It's all new experiences to them.
No.
They're 3 young lads, all wanting to go on and do good things in their career. They're all at the start of their careers. They're hungry. They want to impress. They want to go on and do bigger, better things. No offense, obviously, to Morecambe. They want to play higher and
Of course
and do you know what I mean? Excel their careers, and I think they see every day as a challenge. I think you can see it when you watch them play. They're going up against experienced centre halves, experienced fullbacks, 25, 28, 35-year-olds, doesn't matter. People who have had good careers, whatever, and there's no fear there. And so I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing because me as a centre half is they don't know when they're beaten, if you know what I mean. They'll keep getting up and keep going again and again and again. And you know what it's like when you're young, you got all the energy in the world. Those not just our front 3, obviously there's other players behind them, but if we're talking about the front 3, honestly, it's exciting and it's frightening to watch. It scares me. Sometimes I think, oh, imagine playing against that, and you can see it in the defenders' faces. So I think that'll become
you have to face them in training.
Oh, yeah, I have to face them in training. That is true. But no, it's good for me. It's good for me. It's good for the whole squad. Do you know what I mean? And I try give them tips about obviously who they're playing against, the big centre horse, what they don't like, what they do like, or what not to do, kind of. But no, it's like I said. I think with the start of the season so far, I think everyone we should be satisfied. We're not we're not ecstatic. Obviously, we could do better. It was always better. And I think with the young squad and the gaffer and the coaching staff always push into us. There's more we can improve on. Never be satisfied. Keep pushing. Do you know what I mean? But I think so far, I think we can be happy with how we started, and I want to keep kicking on. It's exciting. So I wouldn't worry too much about the way form because they come in waves. As soon as we get our first win, and I don't think that's too far away at all. First, we get as soon as we get our first win away from home, we get that feeling, kind of like you say, gel as a new team. You get that new feeling of what it took and what we had to do, and such and such. And I think more should come. Hopefully, that's what I'm trying to say. More or less.
I hope you're right. So
Yeah.
that segues quite nicely into the Salford game last Saturday, which obviously because of your situation against Harrogate, you were in a nice comfy chair in the stands watching, hopefully. And it was another decent home performance against another well-fancied side, Joel. And yet again, we did enough, didn't we?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say did enough, to be honest. I think we just did what we needed to, and I think I thought it was a very, very comfortable 1-0, to be honest. I thought there were levels we probably could have gone to that we just kind of didn't really need to throughout the lot of the game. I thought we played very, very, very well, but also at the same time, like, you know, it just felt like, especially at times in the first half, we were able to kind of just work through them very, very easily. And the way that we pressed them and didn't really let them come out of their half. I think you see a lot of teams in League Two who will try and do a bit more of a passing style, and some of them will do it fantastically well, like Notts County when we came up against them. That was, I thought we did fantastic. I thought we were absolutely on our A game to just basically kind of restrict them to what we did on that night. And you could see that while, they didn't score against us, I think you could see from that game that they're going to go on and do some really good things this season. But
and they have.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they're top of the league now. But Salford, I didn't think they were quite there, and I thought we pounced on that. I thought, obviously the first goal has come from us pressing them up the pitch, them trying to play out the back, and us being set up and ready to kind of trap them and spring out at the right moment. I thought we've done that very well. It's a lovely bit of skill from Adam Mayer, just proper kind of quite old-fashioned kind of winger and striker play, really. Beat your man, get to the byline, cut it back across, striker running across the near post, and it's a hell of a finish as well with the outside of the boot. I thought that was really, really lovely, that. And just from then on, I just felt it was quite comfortable. Obviously, I thought we had a bit of a nibble for a second goal at the start of the second half, and then
we had a couple of chances, didn't we?
Yeah, it was one of those where, like, you kind of think about the definition of chance, and I thought there were moments where we could have created chances, but we just didn't quite get the right weight of pass, the right decision, or do something with enough conviction. But that happens sometimes, and fortunately, I thought we were very, very comfortable defending against Salford for the rest of the game. I know they've had that one bit of a chance where Matt Smith managed to sneak into the near post, get a little flick on, but again, Stuart Moore, who I think he's probably been a bit of an unsung hero so far this season. I think he's, I think he's steadily looked more and more solid over the games. Over the games as well, and he's made some really, really good saves. Some saves that have been forgotten in moments. There was a really good save late against Mansfield. There was a great save just before the penalty against Harrogate, and that was a good save as well on Saturday against that flick on the near post and Smith. So yeah,
that was
just
really
handled them pretty comfortably, I thought. And then there weren't any moments where my kind of heart was popping out my chest in the kind of final 20-30 minutes. And
no, yeah. Stuart didn't have to put his paper or his cup of tea down in the second half, really, did he?
Exactly, yeah. It was quite a nice, comfortable one. I thought we managed it pretty comfortably, to be honest, which was really, really good to see.
And watching from the sidelines, Faz, obviously, Derek went out and brought in James Connolly, who is not quite as inexperienced as we were expecting as a centre back, but doesn't look. How can I put this? He doesn't look like an imposing centre back, but he played Matt Smith really well on the day, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely. No, obviously he's only been in the building for a short amount of time, but no, he's come in and he's been outstanding. He's been really good, and he's going to be an asset for us, 100%. And I think the whole back line, individually in their battles, Everyone excelled, and on the day, I just think, like, I agree massively. There was only going to be one winner. At 1-0, I felt as comfortable as possible. I might not have seen it if you could see me. I was up and down, round and round, jumping all over the place. But I think, if anything, we would have been disappointed to not win it at a bigger margin. And I don't think that's down to quality or anything. There was a little bit of luck, a couple last-ditch tackles here, there, some good defending from them. But I agree, we carved them up countless amount of times. We kept them quiet at their front side, and yeah, everyone. It seems to be a thing at the moment at home. Is we are on fire. We are on absolute fire, and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to play in. It's a pleasure to watch. And like I say, the back line, James, who's come in, they've been outstanding. And it's like I said, I was watching it, and it was a pleasure to watch. I wasn't worried one part. I thought I was going to be proper nervous watching it, but nah, comfortable. I thought Jan was outstanding.
He was fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
He was my man of the match. To be fair, I thought he was outstanding. I think he's been good ever since he's come in. He's focused, dominant, aggressive, but also he cares about his teammates, and you can see that he works hard, trains hard, and he's a lovely guy as well. Come in and he's a lovely guy.
He's just such a fantastic player, and when he's on his note like he was on Saturday, you could see there 2 centre mids going, "Oh God, I've got to go for this header again," and Jan just gets out the way, bang, you know.
That's what they did well. That's what they did well. I thought on Saturday is they didn't get into battles that they didn't need to get into. Obviously, regarding Smith, obviously if they tried to get in a 1v1 battle with them, they might have lost. So they dropped off. Jan competed, and they picked up the seconds, which they did they were very effective at it, which is good. Like I said, and end of the day, the 3 points is the most important thing to all of us. Do you know what I mean? So it was a pleasure. I was buzzing at the end. Obviously, there was a little bit of carnage at the end, which is I was a little bit gutted I wasn't on the pitch for that. But
I was going to come and mention that now, because obviously there's I stand on the home end on the Halo Terrace, and a good mate of mine who's been watching us for like 35, 40 years said, "Oh, that's Matty Lund coming on. He'll get sent off." And sure enough, he went in late on Jake Taylor after about 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes later did what he did to Jacob Davenport. And then literally it was handbags at 10 paces with about 18 outfield players, everybody rushing round. And I thought the referee was actually quite calm, because the referee,
he was.
He just stood back and watched it all while we all did the old pull, push, throw your handbag at somebody, and then he just walked up.
I understand, but that's good. It's great. That's great. You know, with such a young squad, and teams are going to look at that, and they're gonna think they could bully us. You know what I mean? They think they can impose themselves on us because we've got a lot of young lads. But I think moments like that shows that doesn't matter how old you are, you stick up for your teammates. You fight for what's right. You fight for each other, and obviously, as long as it doesn't go over the line and we're not the ones getting booked and sent off for stupid stuff, then you don't mind it. You don't mind it at all. And also, you get the 3 points as well. It's always a bit of a little bit better feeling.
You've got bragging rights at the end, haven't you? But it was interesting, because as he trudged off, I don't know who said what to him, but he dashed back up the tunnel. And started giving it. And then Barry Roach stood up and took his glasses off, and I started laughing like, bloody hell, Barry won't know who he's going to hit, but he'll hit somebody.
Big softy, big Baz.
Yeah, exactly. But he's imposing, isn't he? So, you know.
Yeah. No.
But it's the way he took his glasses off and folded them up like, come on then. So it's an interesting one. And I want to, this is Joel's quote, whether he's pinched it or not. But it's a great quote in the fact that yourself and Jacob Bedell's partnership is like a lion and a gazelle. Yeah. And I like that. We've used it a couple of times, and I just thought, I'm appropriating that because Joel's my friend. But the strange thing was, Joel, Matt Smith came on Saturday, And looking at the way James played and Jacob played, we had two gazelles and still did enough.
Yeah, I think to be honest, Faz has already kind of touched it and on the way we dealt with Matt Smith, which was basically saying, yeah, go on, you chuck yourself at the high ball, flick it on to us. He'll be waiting a couple of yards behind you to mop it up,
Yeah.
or like maybe just nudge him under it a little bit and then have one of the fullbacks mop round and clear it up. And that seemed to be very much the plan. And, I think, I mean, Faz will know better than me, but I always kind of think if you're dealing with a striker who's got some kind, you've got to try and pick the battles that you can win and think you got if at the end of the day, if you're the size of Jacob or James Connolly, you can't win every aerial duel against somebody like Matt Smith. So you've just got to say, right, okay, what is my method going to be for kind of getting the better of him? And it was like Faz has kind of said, maybe let him win the first contact or nudge him under the ball a little bit, and then just mop up those second balls. And we did that really successfully. And it wasn't. I saw Salford at the end of last season. I thought they were really good. They moved the ball really well. The build-up play was really nice on the deck. This felt a little bit muddled, to be honest. They weren't quite sure how much they wanted to knock it around the deck and or how much they wanted to just lump it up to Matt Smith. But they were doing quite a bit of it. But we kind of dealt with both really well, because when they wanted to try and play it out, we pinched the ball off them, and we've done that for the goal. When they wanted to knock it long, we just dealt with Matt Smith in the way in that kind of a way and picked up the second ball. So yeah, it was just a really effective defensive performance, which ultimately has given us a bit of a platform to go and play a bit. And yeah, like Faz says, we could well have had a couple more.
Yeah, it was one of those where they tried to play football, but the more frustrated they got, the more they went for the easy option, which was whack it up. And then they brought the Harlem Globetrotter on as a sub alongside Matt Smith, who was even taller and skinnier. And I was like, blood and sand. And they seemed to sort of run out of ideas then, and that suited us purposely, because the longer it went on, they looked more and more frustrated, Faz. And then I suppose with about 5 or 10 minutes left, you sat in the stand thinking, we've got this in the bag now.
Yeah, we had I firmly believe at this level in League Two, it's massive. Second balls are massive. I think I keep banging on about it to the lads, and that is, I feel like, when you have those games, as you'll probably see it more when you're watching as well, is if I head it or the lads, someone else heads it or whatever, and it always ends up landing to one of our players, or if it lands to one of theirs, someone's on him straight away and nicks it off him. Feel like the more second balls you win in the game, the more you get on top of the game, and the more you dominate the game, and things start to go more your way. You know what I mean? And I feel like on Saturdays, even when Smith would knock it down, like I said, we'd come onto the second balls, or when one of them would have a touch, would make it uncomfortable, you play it into midfield, then Eli would be all over him, or Jan would be all over him, and then they'd get a little nick. JJ would come and nick the ball off him off the front, and then we'd go and progress, and then you'd see that the more you do that, you progress, you play a ball in, then their centre off comes across, clears it out for a throw in. Next thing you know, we've had 5 throw-ins and they're off. The pressure's on them. And the more you can win the second balls and keep recycling it, is the more the game, I feel like, especially in League Two, will swing your way. I do feel like second balls are massive. And I think on Saturday, if you can see, we were winning 90% of the second balls, where potentially at Harrogate, if you watch the game, it was more like you were saying a 50-50 game, 60-40 game, where we weren't 100% dominating. They were going long a lot like Salford did. They switched it up. They went long quite a bit into Smith, but we dominated all the second balls. We seemed to end up on everyone or was around it to press it or whatever. It's maybe finding a different way to win when you go away from home. You might not have it all your way. Do you know what I mean? No. It's not. It's be trying to be as consistent as possible with those second balls, and trying to then, as soon as you can do stuff like that, you can start to really dominate games week in, week out consistently.
Like I said, we've touched on it before. Sorry, go on, Joel.
No, I was just going to say, it's massive second balls. I think, like I say, especially at this level, I think you look back at some of the other games this season, I thought Notts County, the couple of spells that they had in the game where I thought they started to turn the tide on us a bit, turn up the pressure, were those moments where McGoldrick was managing to, he's a smart player, McGoldrick. He's managing to nip in front, knock the ball down, and then pick up on those second balls. And I thought for all the nice football that they do play, Notts County, the moments where they looked more dangerous was when they were picking up those second balls, when the ball was coming loose in midfield and they were able to snatch on it and then start their attack a bit further up the pitch. And I think I'm pretty sure it's one. I think it's a Pep Guardiola thing. In fairness, when he first came to English football, he spent the season there. He was like. And I think he said he went and reflected on it and said, second balls here is absolutely massive, even at that kind of level of football. It's about, like you say, you pick up the ball in better areas of the pitch, you're able to build the attacks from there, you keep the pressure on, like you say, like even like a throw-in, obviously it's not always going to get you a goal, but they're just building that kind of pressure up, getting that kind of territory that you get from those second balls. It's massive, isn't it?
Definitely. It's a mad one because when you're playing it, it's amazing. You kind of get that feeling where you're just like everything you touch. So obviously, I when I'm on it, I make quite a lot of first contacts. But you know what it is when you're scrapping with someone you're trying to head. You can't always direct it. Obviously, I'm always looking and trying to direct it and trying to find someone, but sometimes it's impossible. The ball's swinging around in the air. You're more concentrated on trying to get contact on it if you got someone pushing into you. But then you have those games where we're literally jumping on every second ball, and you literally just feel like I could just head this anyway, and one of my players is gonna end up on it. They're gonna rat around and get it, and it's a good feeling when it's going well. It's a great feeling.
So, Faz, how frustrating was it for you? Obviously, missing out on Saturday, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you must look forward to playing against people like Matt Smith, thinking, "Hey, up. This is right up my street."
Yeah, I was frustrated. It is frustrating. I don't think my red card record's bad. I don't really get sent off. I don't go out to hurt people. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't think I speak to the refs bad. I try to be polite when I can. Obviously, it's an emotional sport, so. But it is what it is. But no, I was frustrated. But that's football. That's football. If you're a big bust around centre off and you throw yourself about and you get in scraps and you pull people, they pull you, you scratch, they scratch you. These things are going to happen. Sometimes you're going to get caught out with things and you got to take it on the chin. It ain't my first, and I'm pretty sure it won't be my last. Do you know what I mean? If I do, I've done pretty well.
Season.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I'm saying throughout my career that I have left is. If it is my last, then I've done pretty well, I guess, or I don't know if that's good or not. But I was frustrated, but it's made a lot better when, do you know what I mean? We get the 3 points, and it's all about the bigger picture. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the lads who's trying to achieve something this season, and us getting a win. It only helps us get there faster and stuff like that. So. Yeah, it was a bittersweet moment, but overall buzzing for the boys, definitely.
You were struggling for a description of yourself there, and Joel was going to interject and say, "Lion, just a lion."
I've heard someone else talk about it. Who was it? I think it could have been that Ben Foster on his podcast. Was he the one who said you're either a gazelle or a water buffalo?
Yeah, that's
a water buffalo. Yeah.
Well,
I think he was like,
yeah.
But the partnerships were gazelle and water. So he was like, oh, John Terry's a water buffalo and Carvalho was the gazelle.
Yeah, true.
I think
Vidic was the water buffalo. Ferdinand was the gazelle.
And you know, out of the two of them, Carvalho was a right horrible, dirty, sneaky bastard.
He was, wasn't he?
He was.
I remember that.
No,
dirty, wasn't
he? I think I'll stick with Joel and his lion gazelle. I think that's more flattering, isn't it, Joel?
Yeah, but I think the other one I hear is sometimes is cat and dog, but I think I prefer. Yeah,
I don't like the cat and dog one.
No,
I don't like cats.
Well, yeah, I think the lion gazelle one sounds a bit more like, I don't know. Sounds a bit better, doesn't it? Rolls off the tongue nicer.
That's the official podcast, ShrimpNet podcast version, isn't it? The lion and the gazelle.
Yeah,
so
we'll stick with that.
So moving forward, obviously we won last Saturday, but you missed the game, so you must have been thinking, right, I want to get back in action as soon as possible. And lo and behold, we sign all these bloody under 21 internationals all of a sudden. So you've got Jacob, your partner in crime, time getting called up by Grenada. Obviously, congratulations, a belated one. I don't know if Derek kept ringing the Scottish FA or what, but he was in an interview. He was in an interview on Monday and Tuesday, saying I've rung him and said he's available, and they've not picked him. And by Wednesday, they've picked him. So Derek he has got some influence. So there's hope for you yet, Faz. Who do you fancy? He might be go through your grandparents, and you could end up Slovakia. So.
The lads are convinced I've got to have something in me. But no, as it stands, from what my mum and dad said, nothing. So just waiting for Gareth.
Yeah, it'll have to be Gareth. And if Slabhead gets injured, you know, because he definitely
Get me in there.
He's a water buffalo. But I mean, looking at that, and I made this point at the FPA meeting I was at last night. Somebody somewhere should be looking at themselves particularly in the higher echelons like the Premier League, who all have numerous scouts working for them. And to find Adam Mayer is on standby for the England under-20s, they must be thinking, how has he slipped through the net, Joel? Because he's only on standby, but for Morecambe to have a left-sided midfielder who's actually, you know, and don't get me wrong, congratulations to Eli King and to Mellon and JJ and Jacob, fantastic. You know, it is brilliant. But for somebody of Adam's age to actually be on standby for that, he's definitely one who slipped through the net. I think looking at his stats for when he was younger and what have you, I think what they weren't expecting him was to probably grow 6 inch and work out in the gym so much. And he looks. He's
growing a chest, hasn't he?
Yeah, he looks well. And to be fair, Mickey Mellon's come back looking like a man rather than a boy like he was last season. And we've made that point. But looking at it, Joel, you know, there's a lot of people do make mistakes because they change. Everybody thinks you have growth spurts between 12 and 16, but obviously Adam wasn't that big when he joined us, but he's certainly a unit now, Joel.
Yeah, I think it's just how football goes sometimes, you know, and it's what you want to see, you know, players coming through not only at big Premier League academies and stuff, but having the opportunity to come and play first team football straight through the academy at clubs lower down the division. Because, you know, at the end of the day, if Adam Mayer was at a bigger club, he probably, like a Premier League academy, he might be probably getting sent on his first loan around now. But whereas with ourselves, he's had the opportunity to play and get lots of minutes under his belt. He's already got a load of good minutes under his belt at League One level and shown he's capable at that level already, despite his age. And again, it's, you know, I think coming down to this division, and so I've seen obviously he's come back and he's put a bit of work in the gym, and obviously I'm sure he's done some other work in his game as well. And you know, you think it bodes well for this season in League Two, and bodes well for us. Doesn't necessarily bode well for defenders at other clubs, but but you know, and it's just really nice to see that a talent coming through EFL academies is getting recognised, and it's nice to see that, you know, somebody getting minutes and showing what they can do against, you know, in the men's professional game, rather than just kind of doing stuff in the academy, is getting recognised properly. So yeah, all for the best. And let's be honest, his career is probably destined for a bit higher than League Two and Morecambe, but in many ways, that's what we kind of want. We want to be producing players who are going to go on to bigger and better things. And, you know, it's looking like Adam's going to be one of those players.
I agree. And a part of the attraction of Morecambe is we've got a very, very good reputation. So I hear of if Greg Strong contacts a Premier League or a Championship side and said, can we take so-and-so on loan? The people want to know they're going to play. The parent club want to know, and obviously the player themselves want to know. And we were touching on it, that the fact that Greg Strong's looked at the actual minutes that people play on loan, and we're in the top 5 in the country of giving our loanees minutes on loan. So they know when they come in here, people like Tom Bloxham and, you know, Mickey Mellon, etc., Eli King, they're going to get noticed because they're playing in a man's league at a very young age, and they're getting, you know, they're going to get their opportunities. And it was the same in to be fair, it was the same in League One last year, wasn't it? Where if you look at Jensen, for instance, who obviously was nearly our top scorer and has gone on to have a great another great loan this season. So it shows the attraction. And from yourselves' point of view, Faz, it must be, it must be quite a good, being a senior pro, even though you're not that old, you've got a lot to give these people, haven't you?
I'd like to think so. Yeah. Do you know what? It's a strange one. I think it's a pleasure. It's honestly like you say. You mentioned Adam Mayer, and I'll tell you now, the guy's got everything. He's some talent. He is honestly some talent, and it's a pleasure to watch. And if he asks for advice, I'm always there. I'll always talk to him. Like I say to him, is with all the attackers, if they want to ask me anything about the defenders we're playing against, what they're going to be like, what they like, what they like, what do you like, and you can ask them all individually when they come on, who gives them the toughest time in training. I'll ask Melon. I grab him, I push him, I tackle him, and I don't go too far. He always says, "Don't injure me." I won't injure you, bro. But this is what you're gonna get on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? I'm only getting you ready, and they might not look as good as me, but this is what they're gonna be giving you. Do you know what I mean? But and in all fairness, all of them are fearless. That's what I say to you, fearless. But on Adam being on reserve or whatever it is for England, it's amazing. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, he won't be on reserve anymore. He'll be there.
No.
Because this he's crazy. You want to give him the ball. Same with Tom as well. We've got both our wingers are direct, quick, strong, versatile, can go inside and out.
Yeah.
Tricky. They can both hit a good ball. They can both cross. And then when you've got someone like Mellon in the middle who's tenacious, strong, aggressive, clever, really clever for his age, uses his body really well, and can finish, proven on Saturday, all kinds of finishes. Because that was a tough finish that he did there. We watched it back today, and I didn't actually notice at the time because when you're watching, it goes so quick. But was it outside of the right foot?
Yeah, it's almost like a flick off his ankle, isn't it? Really?
He's past the front post as well.
Yeah,
and he flicks it backwards in a way. It's crazy, great finish. So no, having all the guys who have been called up, we haven't obviously touched too much on Eli and JJ, but I think their games, their performances speak for themselves. They've both been outstanding. It's not a surprise. And I think it's good for Morecambe. It's good for Morecambe to have all these young internationals or young lads who are playing for their countries and trying to do bigger to come and represent Morecambe. It's only good for the club. And no, it's just a pleasure. Honestly, it's a pleasure to train, play. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing with all of them, they're good lads. They're nice people as well. Grounded, sound, no egos, no chips on their shoulders. Like I say, I can smash them. They ain't gonna say they get up, dust themselves down, and they go again. And do you know what I mean? Because you can get do you know what I mean? When people get call ups like that and stuff, some people you can see they change a little bit, get a little bit chip on the shoulder. People like to say big time and stuff like that. But no, I don't see it happening with these lads. So like I said, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
My only worry, and this is not a worry that I'm used to, is that we've got that many going off on international duty that they get injured while they're there, Joel, because that would be a bloody nightmare, wouldn't it?
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully it'll be a few tepid kind of friendlies, qualifiers, performances and stuff like that, and they'll all come back nice and fresh. And hopefully Jacob doesn't come back too jet lagged from going away to Granada for his international duty. And it's just great to have a squad pack full of internationals. We've had a few before, obviously a couple of seasons back when we had Yokel and Greg Lee, Jamaican. It's nice. It's becoming a bit of a regular thing. I mean, from a fan's perspective, it's quite annoying because the games are getting called off, and Saturday was shaping up to be a good laugh, especially in the weather as well. Blimey, that could have been quite.
It would have been. Yeah.
Tell you what, the train journey up to Barrow probably going to be quite packed as well. That probably actually, you know what? I'm actually a little bit relieved because it looks like it's going to be about 28 degrees on Saturday. So a train journey in that weather on the way to Barrow, I'm not sure I really fancied that. So
very sweaty.
Yeah, the good news is it's been rearranged for Halloween, 31st of October, so I don't think you'd be sweaty that night.
Hopefully not. Yeah. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's really good to see the young players and not some of the. Well, I was going to say some of the older players, but Jacob's still not that old, is he? But
No, it's not.
some of the other
23,
And to be fair, now there's how old are you now, Faz?
27.
27. Dear God, you've got years left, mate.
It's just the bold effects gives me a 35 look, doesn't it? Being generous as well.
Makes you look distinguished. Yeah, distinguished. So your point of view now, obviously, you didn't play last Saturday. We've got no game this Saturday, so you're missing out. So we've got Gillingham away. And Gillingham away, they had a pretty good start to the season, Joel. But obviously, we'll talk about it more next week. But all of a sudden, the pack's caught up with them because obviously they've lost the last two, and we find ourselves on the same points as them. Whereas everybody was thinking, "Oh, this lot," I mean, Neil Harris is no idiot. He knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, and the fun thing was it was 4 1-0 wins in a row at the start of the season, which is mad. But also, I guess when it's kind of like they're all 1-0 wins, you do feel that maybe it doesn't necessarily feel entirely sustainable. And they do look to have been kind of games where they've ground out, they've nicked a goal from a set piece or something like that, a bit of direct play, a bit of quality here and there. But it doesn't always necessarily feel entirely sustainable if you're just winning 1-0. And obviously, things seem to have caught up in the past couple of games. Especially going down 3-0 at against Colchester. Who started the season not particularly well themselves. So I think it's the start of the season. Some teams, they get on a bit of a roll at the start of the season. A few things go in their favour because I think ultimately throughout the season, most teams are going to have a run of form where they're just grooving, they get a bit of luck, or something like that happens. And Gillingham have had one that comes at the start of the season, but because it's all we've seen of them, we kind of think, oh my God, what a hell of a prospect, this kind of defensive unit who are just going to grind out every game 1-0. But maybe in the context of the season, it'll just be a little bit of luck, or who knows. But it's they always say you got to give it about 10 games to really start judging teams in the league. And again, it's still early days yet, but you know what they're probably going to get with Gilliam and Neil Harris. They're probably going to be quite firm. They've got a bit of quality up front, to be fair. They've not really got many target men this time around. I think they've got people like Tom Nichols and
they've gone for subtlety, haven't they?
Yeah, but still at the same time, it sounds like they're going to be pretty hard to break down. So yeah, should be a decent game. It'll probably actually. I said that it sounds like it might well end up being 0-0, but we'll have to wait and see.
I'd take that fast, would you?
Yeah, I'd take it. I wouldn't want it. I'd want more, but yeah, you're never away from home, Gillingham. It's a long journey. You'd always, on the caution, you'd say, would you take a 0-0? But I think most people would say at the start, yeah. Suppose, especially early on in the season, like it is still, you probably would take it. But nothing to fear. Nothing to fear at all. Go there, stick your chest out, see what happens.
Bring down the scaffolding.
Gillingham's a place where once you've been, you never really forget going. Have you been, Joel?
I haven't been, but I just all I can think about is the scaffolding, quick, the kind of like put together stand that just kind of the one that was meant to be temporary but just remain there forever.
Well, the only thing I'll say, and I'm not being dismissive at all, but because I've spoken to Gillingham fans and they're under no illusion, and I'm under no illusion that Morecambe's not exactly, it's not exactly New York, but where there's no parking at the ground for Gillingham. So when I was doing the commentary, you had to park wherever you could and walk to the ground. And my exact quote on the radio when I was doing the commentary was, I did actually think that this Gillingham makes Burnley look like Las Vegas. That tells you all you need to know. And loads of people were thumbs up with like, yes, I've been to Gillingham, because it is. I can see why they've got always have a half decent home record, because it is quite. You'll have played there, Faz. It's quite a hostile place, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And most places are now. If you think about it, there's only this select few where you can really pick off your head where you think it's not that bad. But a lot of places now, they get the bigger teams are coming into League Two, so you get the big fan bases and, like you say, hostile. Yeah. No, it'll be a tough game. It won't be easy at all. It will be.
Oh, well,
We'll have to. Boys will have to become men, and we'll have to take it on head on. But I think we're all buzzing for it. Do you know what I mean? Without a game this week, and I think all it does is just build the lads up. It's like shaking a can of Coke, just wanting to explode. So you get going, we've missed it. So the lads will come back next week and we'll all get together and put in some good training. Like we've done this week, we've had some really tough training sessions. It's not been easy at all. And all focus eyes on after this weekend, all focus and ready for Gillingham and the next stretch of games.
no, now we come to the part of the podcast where I always hand over to Joel to ask more interesting questions to Faz than I do.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah, I think to us we've touched a bit. I had some stuff about Jacob and the partnership there, but I thought I'd actually touch on something you mentioned about Jan Songo being in front of you. Is it quite nice? I think last season one of the things we maybe struggled with in our midfield is we didn't quite have the balance right in terms of like having that kind of covering defensive midfielder to kind of really give people like Weir and Shaw to kind of that full license to just get up the pitch and do what they do.
I think when Gibbo played there, he kind of did that.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
That's
he
why
did,
normally when
did.
Gibbo played there, we more often than not have a good game. I feel like.
Yeah, no, Gibbo did a good job there, but now back in League Two with Jan Songo just leaping at everything. Is that quite a handy presence to have in front of you now as well?
No, definitely. Like he's one of the you need a good spine, and he's a massive part of that spine in the team, and he's experienced. He's been there, he's done that. He's a big presence. Like I said, I think he's one of the players that lads, the younger lads, and whoever look to and listen to. Do you know what I mean? And regarding your question, definitely, it's amazing. You know what I mean? Sometimes, like I just said to you, when your head balls down and he's there, and if he's in the area, he's sniffing it out. Do you know what I mean? He's last ditch tackles. He's coming back to help you out. It's nice to have like him to bounce things off on the pitch. I think me and him get along quite well on the pitch. We do a lot of talking, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But nice. Like I said, I think the spine of your team's massively important, and I agree with you. I think some parts of last season, and that's not down to anything to do with the manager or anything. I think it was well known about he wasn't able to get anyone else in because of certain reasons. I don't really want to go into it, but we were really missing that holding mid, that person to help the defense out a little bit, to help stop attacks, to help sniff, just aid in sniffing out the stuff that might hurt us. And I think this season already, with the amount of clean sheets, and that's not just obviously to Jan, you can look at, like you mentioned it, and I think rightly so. Stewart's had an unbelievable start to the season. Joel's playing left back, he's a right back, and I think he's been outstanding. Donald's been absolutely outstanding. Like I'm saying, it's a collective thing, as well as we always like to big up the front line, rightly so as well, because they've been really good. But I think Jan's played a big part, as well as all the ones I just mentioned, to keeping those clean sheets and keeping the opposition out.
Yeah, I think like you say, like having all the options that we do now at the back line, because I think you touched on one there. Like Joel Senior's had such a good start despite playing out of position. I remember that performance against Notts County when he just locked down the main. That was absolutely. I thought that was absolutely brilliant because he's a fantastic player there. Their right wing back, Notts County. But I guess we've got some really good options at fullback. Obviously, Love and Senior, who when he goes to right back, and then you've got Totondo who's coming at left back now. So it's a real struggle then. I guess does it obviously it can be funny dynamic, but I guess is it quite good to have that kind of competition for places now? Like at centre back, you've got people like Stokes in there as somebody you can play left sided. Now you've got Conley in there. Is it good having that kind of competition to kind of like drive you all on a bit?
The way I look at it is, if it's healthy, it's good. Healthy competition breeds success. It pushes people, and it's all going to be done in the right way, though. And I think with the lads we've got a good set of lads. And like I say, we're all pushing in the right direction. Everyone wants to play. But then if you're not, everyone wants us to win. Do you know what I mean? And that's where you need that one, that to find that ingredient. But like you can't get away from competition. I think a lot of players, including myself, everyone's different, is kind of thrive off that kind of what's the saying, fire in the belly, makes you bubble, makes you, you know what I mean, gives you something else. But no, and also it's good having competition because we haven't got the biggest squad in the world. And like you say, injuries will hit. It's inevitable. Touch wood. I hope it doesn't. But when you look at the record, everyone sees it. Very rarely it hits. And that's where you'll need, if the competition's high, everyone trains at that level, everyone trains at that high level because we're all competing. It will be the time for the other lads who for whatever reason, lucky or not, whatever, need to step in, and they'll be at the best position possible to come step in and take the other person's place and keep that level high. And that's what I think you see at all the top clubs in the world. You see it there. There's competition. You look at Man City, absolutely won everything last season, and I think they've got another starting 11 that people say could do really well in the Prem, and it's like how some of them could be starting for any team in any other team in the Prem. So no, competition is good. You want competition. Do you know what I mean?
No,
You get too relaxed and laid back without competition.
you need to get to your toes a little bit.
I like your choice of words there, Faz, because you said, though, inevitably injuries are going to happen. You didn't mention suspensions.
Oh, yeah, suspensions as well. But
That's just me being devil's advocate. And sorry,
Yeah.
Joel, I'll never come on again, and it's my fault.
Not so much suspensions, but to be fair, the way they're dishing out yellow cards and
Yeah,
yeah, suspensions is definitely another one.
I mean, that's something worth asking, I guess, because obviously, even kind of taking out the Harrogate game, but in general, like, obviously the first game was like, it was so weird because it does feel like the refs have kind of reeled back in from the first game because the first game was just mental.
They had to. You've seen everything. Everyone, obviously, miles bigger profiles than me, top Prem players and stuff, putting it on social media and stuff. It was crazy. It was crazy, and I get it. I do get it, and I kind of agree with it. But I feel like with everything, we just go over the top, and it's like we're having like 25 minutes out of it on. You're like, what's going on? Like, yeah, I understand the ball out of play for certain things, but that amount, and then yellow cards for everything.
Well, having half the outfield players booked, and there wasn't a bloody game. It was crazy.
But you know what? You know, that first week, if you went across, it would have been really interesting to find out if you went across the whole of the Football League and counting how many yellows were given on that first game of the season for everyone, because everyone was the same. As I was looking on, I remember I was looking at results and I was thinking, oh, they had 10 people booked, they had 12 people booked, they had 25 minutes added on, they had 10 minutes added on. Do you know what I mean? It'd be interesting to see how many yellows were given on that day. Maybe that's what they looked at that, and that's why they were like, oh, I need to rein it back a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Because I kind of wonder if it was like a deliberate plan. They were always going to go hard in the first game and then reel it back. And it was kind of just to shock everybody into kind of learning the new rules. Or if it was a kind of, they were planning to go this hard all season. So what a ridiculous amount of yellow cards got given. I mean, I remember just the one going to Don Love when he was just...
Oh, it was someone threw the ball on the pitch.
Yeah.
So
he picked the one up off the cone, and he couldn't take the ball because there was a ball on the pitch, because he had the other ball, and he booked him for time wasting. He was like, what?
Yeah.
Mad.
Yeah, that's a different... But then, I don't want to sound like I'm sticking up for anyone, but then you got to look at the refs and go, well, it must be hard for them, because it's changing all the time for them as well. They're having to keep up with new rules and think, well, am I doing this right? Is it like that? Is it like this? Their rules are changing all the time as well. And I'm pretty sure if you pull most referees aside and go, do you want it to go back to normal? They'd probably go, yeah.
Yeah, you
But like, these are the rules I have to follow them, which rightly so. If they're the rules, you got to follow them. But it was a little bit much, but it has settled down a lot more since. Well, it has settled down a lot since then. Yeah, thankfully.
It was that Walsall game finished about 5:10. I was like, bloody hell, come on.
I remember because I'm sure he said something like 8 minutes added on, and then I looked up and it was like
He played 11.
It was like,
He played
yeah,
11.
it was
Didn't
crazy. I looked up and it was like 100, like
Yeah.
what was it, 101 minutes gone. I'm
It's like
thinking,
ridiculous.
Especially after you've nabbed the winner and it's going on like, come on, let's wrap this up now. It's on top of my day.
yeah, I know. Oh, what a feeling that was.
Actually, to be fair, have you ever managed to get your body into that position before in your life?
And that's exactly the question I was going to ask.
No comment.
That must have been a nice feeling, because I think it was Jan. Jan got the header, beautiful ball in by Adam. Jan got the header, and then there's a fantastic picture of you contorting yourself to try and get in a position.
I'm telling you, if you put the ball in the right area and there's a reasonable chance I can get there, there's only one winner. I'll crack my head open. I've done it thousands of times anyways. I'll do it again. Do you know what I mean? It's and it was just, it's one of those things that I was remember speaking all last season and even pre-season with Jacob about it. It's like the amount of times you watch a game and you see the centre half get knocked down, or like one of those ones where it's crossbar and falls to his feet and passes in the net. Like, when I was looking at him, when do we ever get one of them? I mean, you were always running and jumping in there. Never get one of them. Literally, first game of the season, Jan's headed it beautifully, hit the crossbar right in between me and 3 other guys. I was like, this is my chance. I just flung my head in it, and it's no better feeling, honestly. I got booked for that. Yeah. So I've not even gone into the fans. I've made sure I'm a good 6 foot away from the barrier. But then obviously the lads are jumping on my back. Then Jan jumps on my back, didn't know the weight was coming on my back, fell over, hit my head on the bollard thing, do you know, the metal bollard thing. So I'm in the middle of this big huddle, like, Jan's like up in the middle on the floor with me going, sorry, you're right. I was like, but not in the end. Get up, feeling a bit dazed, walk over, ref's like, yellow card. So I didn't go into the fans. Yeah, he booked me for that. Do you know what he said to me? It's quite good to me then. He goes, don't moan about it, just enjoy it. Enjoy your moment, mate. Just enjoy your moment. It was something like that. And I was just like, I was just like, all right, fair dues, Raf, fair dues. But yeah, that was a mad, crazy first game. Crazy, especially like you say, with all the time added on and the yellows.
We haven't conceded a home goal since.
I know. I can't remember what was that goal like. Oh, it was Dan Johnson, weren't it? The ball.
Yeah, the long ball that wasn't meant for him.
I know. It's annoying because it kind of looks bad, but he didn't mean that. No. It's like if a keeper goes, he's been hitting a long diag on my side, and then he shanks one into the middle of the pitch. Yeah. But then you've dropped because he's hit that long diag every time you knew you've headed it. And then by accident, he's trying to hit that long one and he shanked it and it goes into the geezer's feet. And they're like, why ain't you pressed him? It's like, well, he's hit every ball over my head on the long one. He's just shanked that. He didn't mean that. It was like one of them, weren't it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It looked like he was just lumping up the pitch. And
he literally did, and it just.
Yeah, it just went very well in their favour. And fair play to Danny Johnson. He's reacted quickly, but it's one of those where there's just no way to predict that was a thing that was going to happen.
No, you're right.
Doesn't matter, lads. Doesn't matter. 3 points. That's all that matters.
Yeah, thank you very much.
As long as you pop in the last minute, it's all good.
Right, we better wrap it up, and we'll leave it as usual with the news of the AGM of the Trust on Thursday evening, which is today, I believe, when this is going out.
Yeah, at the moment it's tomorrow, but when people listen to this, it will be today, Thursday.
Unless you're listening on Friday.
Unless you're listening on Friday, then, or saving it until next week when there's no game. I don't know, whenever. But it is Thursday the 7th. But this has gone well, this bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
But it is Thursday the 7th. Looking at a sharp 7 p.m. start. So if you can get down, that'd be great to see people there. And
is this the unveiling of the new committee then, or?
I think there may be a bit of a vote, but we'll have to kind of see how it unfolds. Yeah. I think we can co-op still. We can still co-op with a few people, so we'll just have to see how things unfold. But I think there'll be a few new people added. I think.
All right, brilliant. Well, our thanks to Big Faz for coming on. Who is not a water buffalo; he's a lion.
I'll take either.
Yeah, no. I'm not having wildebeest or water buffalo. It's definitely on this podcast. You're the lion. Jacob's the
Top
gazelle.
man.
Yeah, that'll do. Thanks for coming on. Whoever you speak to back in the dressing room, get them to listen to it and say it's your turn next time, because Stuart did a brilliant job, didn't he, Joel?
Oh yeah, he did fantastic. So thank you very much for the
And,
recommendation.
and JJ came on a couple of weeks ago, and JJ did really well as well. And we like to think we've played our part in getting him his call up to the under-21s, don't we, Joel?
100%.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, honestly, because Jim Harvey listens to this, so you never know, do you? But thanks for listening. We will be back next week. Obviously, we'll talk about things next week. Hopefully, the fact that 5 people have come back from international duty without any injuries, and the fact that we can look forward to the Gillingham game. But Faz, a pleasure as always. Stay safe. It's nice that you're going to have to fight for your place, but as the lion in the dressing room, I think you'll probably get it back, hopefully. And you can come on later in the season and tell us how the promotion push is going.
100%. That's the plan. Top man.
You too. This has been ShrimpNet number 5 of the season. Thank you for listening. We will be back next week. Enjoy your weekend.